The next delegation is Ian Maclean, Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Ian. You have the floor and you have 5 minutes.
Well, thank you and good evening. I'm here representing myself and the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce and my colleague Greg DeRocher in the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. Together, we represent over 3,000 businesses in the community. And also together, we have been vocal advocates for nearly 14 years about the importance of having a large site that can attract anchor employment here in Waterloo Region. The need for and call for this land assembly is nothing new. And it's not someone else's plan. It is and was started here in Waterloo Region. Losing Schneider's in 2011 was the wake-up call. Let me start by saying we've been very clear at both chambers of commerce and in the community that it is critical and essential that the landowners involved here be dealt with fairly. I'll leave that but it's important that that be a core principle. But there's also a broad business community understanding that this land assembly in Wilmot Township, even including Waterloo Economic Development Corporation, two chambers, Communitech, the New Hamburg Board of Trade, the Toronto Region Board of Trade, business leaders in London and Windsor, essentially the broader business community across southwestern Ontario realizes how important this work is for our future growth and prosperity. Neither of Toyota's previous sites in Cambridge in the mid-1990s and Woodstock in the 1980s and then Woodstock in 1990s were part of an official plan or industrial planning process, and there wasn't public consultation until the sites were assembled and a project announced. The land has to be assembled first. That's been the state of play for over 50 years. Fast forward to this last year, St. Thomas VW plant and the province worked with the local municipality to get 700 acres in addition to the 800 that was already there to assemble a full 1,500 acre mega site for VW, a company that doesn't even assemble cars here in Waterloo Region or in Canada. The new Honda plants announced earlier this year also included agricultural lands that were acquired before official Honda expansion announcement or rezoning process. Honda is currently investing $15 billion in 4 sites in Ontario. Both the future expansion and retaining jobs are the critical nature of assembling lands for these anchor employers. If we fail to assemble a suitable site here, I and others are absolutely convinced that our most important manufacturing employer is at serious future risk with potentially devastating impact for our community. There are 7,000 direct jobs that average somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000 in income, not to mention the local supply chain impact of at least another 28,000 indirect jobs. I'm talking about Toyota in Cambridge. These workers live in all parts of our region. They live in Kitchener and the townships. They live all over. We will collectively own this failure if those jobs start to disappear. If there's no job or no project right on the table right now, then what's the concern about Toyota? What we know is Toyota Motor Corp is already well advanced in putting $14 billion into a 1,000-acre EV battery plant in North Carolina that will be in production in less than 2 years. If Toyota chooses to put a second EV battery plant in the U.S., as opposed to in Canada, because we don't have a suitable site near the Toyota assembly plant, that will put all of the Canadian operations at a permanent logistical and competitive disadvantage. This matters to the region, the province, and the country. The benefit we gain is potentially billions in new investments, thousands in new local jobs, and ancillary benefits that come from it. This is the benefit for not only Wilmot and the regional residents, but also for Ontario and Canada. We need to finish the job of assembling the land to help ensure the above scenario never happens. We haven't had a large site for 11 years. We lost the Schneider's jobs because we didn't. The provincial plan and our community's expectation of growing to almost 1 million people in 20 to 30 years demands that we have a concrete plan for new jobs and economic development in our region. We can do both. We can protect and be sustainable and protect our lands and still make the investments that are absolutely essential to ensuring we have the jobs and the economic future for future generations. So let's finish the important, critical work of assembling these lands and move on to the equally important job of deciding how to best utilize the land assembled for the benefit of this and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Don't go anywhere. Councillor Deutschman, you have a question?
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Two questions. First question, Mr. Maclean, you talk about the Schneiders, and just to clarify, I was here in 2011 at this horseshoe when the Schneiders matter was happening, and Schneiders left for a whole bunch of reasons aside from us not having land, because at the time Canada Bread was already in Hamilton, and that's why they were making the move that way. So I can tell you, I was in closed committee meetings with Mayor Zaire and other parties, and we understood what was happening with respect to that and had nothing to do with whether we had land available or not. Now, you reference the threat to Toyota. Do you have direct knowledge, or is it speculation on your part with respect to Toyota?
First of all, in 2011, what we do know is that there were three competing municipalities trying to come up with land so that we could have a consolidated Schneider's or Maple Leaf's plant. So I'll leave that aside. As far as direct knowledge, no, I don't. But what we do know is that what is happening is that motor assembly plants are being planned and accommodated where there are battery plants. That's a global phenomenon. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
So speculation then. So the second question,
Speculation. It's informed. It's informed.
Thank you.
It's informed
Thank you.
information.
Thank you, Mr. Maclean. So the second question I have, I appreciate that you raise that you want the landowners to be dealt with fairly. And I just have to ask you, in April of this year, you were interviewed. And in an interview with The Record, you called land assembly opposition a knee-jerk reaction by NIMBYs who don't get it. And then you said the histrionics, oh my God, New Hamburg is going to grow. It is growing whether this gets done or not because we're going to have 1 million people. So, Mr. Maclean, I just want to give you an opportunity. Do you want to clarify your remarks and perhaps extend some apologies with respect to those remarks?
No, what I was referring to was the notion that there wasn't a negotiation going on, and that it was either or. There was no context to the discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Salonen, go ahead.
Thank you. Nice to see you as always, Ian. I just had a point of clarification when you had mentioned the different chambers and EDCs. I know that you had noted New Hamburg Board of Trade. I just wanted to make sure, because my understanding is they've not made a formal, as a Board of Trade statement on this matter. I just wanted to get clarity on your comment regarding them.
If I misspoke, I apologize. Members of the New Hamburg Board of Trade have had numerous conversations.
Okay, absolutely perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
I have no other questions. Thank you very much, Ian.